We're at the home of Tito Carrillo. My name is Richard Ryan.
My name is Tito Carrillo. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. Was born here, raised, went to school here, in high school, and after that I went into my dad's business, which was a dry cleaning business.
What was your birth date?
1936.
So you are 75 years old?
75 years old.
And you were born here in Tucson?
Born in Tucson at the old stork nest.
Well, tell me about your grandparents.
Well, my grandparents on my mother's side came from Mexico, came from Sinaloa. I am a Mayo Indian by from my grandparents who came from Sinaloa. On my father's side, my grandfather came from Zacatecas, which I am a Chichimeca, and on my grandma's side, she was from Chihuahua, and she was a Tarahumara Indian. So I'm a Mexican American, but of Indian blood of the Tarahumaras and the Chichimecas and the Mayos. And they came. My grandparents. It's interesting that they came from Mexico, from Sonora during the Mexican Revolution, Pancho Villa. They had to. My grandfather used to ride the trains and used to carry troops, either the Federalistas or the Villistas. And finally, he got my mother and my aunt and my uncle across through Naco, Arizona, to Tucson, Arizona, and then my mother and my aunt and my uncle, they lived in the barrio here downtown on Common Street, and that's and my mother married Tito Flores, who again, like I say, was the son of my grandfather Tito Flores, who was a very famous pharmacist here in Tucson. He was also a curandero and had a drugstore here in Tucson, where all the people went, the Yaquis and the Mayos and the Mexicans. And I was born at the old stork nest, which is a little hospital down in downtown Tucson. And lived in the barrio on Common Street, 343. And then my mother had me and my sister from Tito Flores on my grandfather's side, the pharmacist. But they got divorced, and then my mother remarried Emilio Carrillo from an old family here in Tucson, and who had a business here in South Tucson, Arizona, and we went to live from the barrio. We went to live with the wealthy people in Tucson, Sam Hughes area. And from there I went to work with my dad, my stepfather, in the dry cleaning business. And at that time the dry cleaning business was a very good business. And I had a delivery truck that I delivered close to all the Mexican families and the Chinese families, black families on the west side. So
That was after high school? Or
that was right after high school. I went to Tucson High School.
what year did you graduate?
57. 57.
And what grade school did you go to?
I went to I went to driving school, which was in the barrio, and then when my mother remarried, I went to Sam Hughes School, which is a school with all nothing but Anglo kids. And I used to get teased a lot because I couldn't speak English very well at that time, and in fact I used to get into a lot of fights because they used to tease me because I couldn't speak English. But then then I transferred to a Catholic school, and there at the Catholic school the nuns straightened me out, and then from there I went to Mansfield Junior High, and from Mansfield Junior High to Tucson High.
And what kind of student were you?
What kind of a student
I
was I?
mean, you were straight A's? Or?
No, unfortunately, at that time there was a lot of prejudice, and there was a lot of gringos and Mexicans didn't like each other. Mm-hmm. And in the classroom there, I got into a good fight with Anglo kid, and he hit me on the nose and butted me up. So I went after him and then kind of took, and I kicked him right in between, knocked him out, and sent him to the hospital. And that was the end of my school day. So actually, I only went to my junior year. But at that time, school was not really that important because you only went to school about 3 or 4 hours at Tucson High. They were crowded. So, and my dad needed me because he had a good business going, and so I went to work with him. But I continued with my education on my own, reading books. And afterwards, after I went to Pima College for a year and did a lot of reading. So, but basically, and then my dad's business, the dry cleaning business went down. But through my dad's business, I got to know a lot of families that were low income, poor. So I was, and at that time the war on poverty started. So I was very active in the war on poverty. I became a community organizer there in South Tucson with the Yaquis. I organized them into a group called the Yaqui Comité de la Fe, so they could participate with the Mexican American groups, because at that time the war on poverty was bringing in a lot of money for minorities.
This would have been in the 70s then?
In
Or?
the 70s,
Yeah.
yes, And then we also started a credit union in South Tucson, and in the credit union, we were able to get a lot of low-income people to participate, to start saving, and then we got the town of South Tucson also employees to participate. So, and then from there also, I also was on the legal aid board. The legal aid board, I represented South Tucson, and there I had the opportunity to travel a lot, to go to a lot of conferences, to Chicago, San Francisco. In fact, I think that one of the best ones was going to Atlanta, Martin Luther King's town there, got to go to his church, and all that. Yeah, got to see Kennedy speak.
Which Kennedy?
Ted Kennedy. Yeah, Ted Kennedy. And then I also worked, then I went to work with an organization called Project PEP, was working with the farm workers out here in Marana and in Continental. So that was really a good job.
And all this time you were still doing the dry cleaning?
No.
Oh, okay.
After the dry cleaning business went out.
Oh.
The dry is just clothes that you could wash, and the business just went down. So, but with all of my experience, with me knowing all the barrios, these directors wanted me to go to work with them because I knew everybody in the barrios, and so this way I worked with families that needed legal help or needed assistance, some kind of assistance through the poverty programs. And then then I went to work at La Frontera Mental Health Center. There I was a community mental health worker. So if somebody, say for example, you came in and you really didn't have a mental health problem, but you needed assistance, employment, legal aid, or food stamps, I did all that.
Social work.
Social work. Yeah.
And who are you employed by there?
First I was employed by Project PEP, and then from Project PEP.
Is that the city of Tucson, or what's that?
No, Project PEP is still existing. Still, in fact, probably up in Prescott too, but it's a statewide program now. It was just local. It's working with farm workers. At that time, John Arnold was the director. He still is. So I did a lot of work with the farm workers in Marana and in Sahuarita.
And this was the 70s.
This was in the 70s.
Well, was Cesar Chavez
Yes,
he was
in fact,
active in
also,
California.
In fact, hold on from here. And but I got all my Cesar Chavez. And I saw him here in Tucson, got on my pins still. And
That's really neat.
yeah.
So you got to meet Cesar
Oh,
Chavez
yes, I met Cesar Chavez many times.
and Dolores Huerta.
Dolores Huerta, yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, I was very much involved with Cesar Chavez. Oh, okay. From there, I went to work. Let's see, it says at Project Pep, in La Frontera. Then I went to work with Access, the Medicaid program there too. So I was like a supervisor. So I would go to Santa Cruz County, Greeley County, Pinal County to pick up the documents, the people that were enrolled in the program. And then from there, all the social programs went out of business. And one day I'm in a bar here, and a friend of mine who was a private investigator got to talking to him, and he says, "You know what, Tito, you'd be a good private investigator." And so, really? Yeah. So I'll give it a try. Anyway, I did a lot of investigation.
What year? Do you have any idea what year that would have been?
That was in the 80s.
That was in the 80s.
80s, And then too, a lot of divorces. A lot of people wanted their wives and husbands followed, and different kinds of cases.
And how many years did you do that?
I did about 3 years.
Well, the pay was pretty good on that?
Yeah,
That's
it was good.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
3 years.
Uh-huh.
Then what'd you do?
Got tired of that. Then I did legal process serving. And then from the legal process serving, I did that for about 3 or 4 years, 5 years. Serving court documents, divorces. And then from there, then I got involved with the Yaquis and started going down to Yaqui country, where the Yaquis lived.
This was mid 80s, late 80s? Or?
Yeah, 80s.
Yeah.
80s. I started participating with the Yaquis, and I would go down with the chief here, Carmelo, and we would bring up the dancers, and then I started taking them up to the Hearst Museum to dance, the deer dancer, and then from there went to Flagstaff at the university. So different places would call me. We went to San Diego, and at that time I was selling the Yaqui mask. Oh, I was still working at La Frontera Mental Health Center too. So doing that with the Yaquis, and then I found out about that. I saw in the newspaper one day about the Tarahumara, and I said, I gotta go down there. I had heard that they were building a road, so I started going down there. And at that time, the road was being built to the town there, Creel. Yeah. Then I found out about Mata Ortiz. And well, here in Tucson, I went to a friend's house of mine one day, and I walked in there and I saw this pot, and it looked Hopi. I said, "How could you afford this pot?" "No, Tito, it comes from Mexico." And he says, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah." "No way," I said. And he told me who the person who brought it up, Frank Franklin. Frank Franklin was an artist here in Tucson, so I went to see him. He lived on Barrio Anita.
He was an artist.
Yeah.
What, painter?
A painter, just
Oh.
did paintings like that, but mostly on Mexican art. But mostly arts on Mexican.
And he was also going to Mata Ortiz?
He was one of the early ones. He was one of the first ones to go down there. And then he told me, he says, "Well, it's in Chihuahua. It's near Casas Grandes." So I went and got a map, and I looked at the map. I saw Casas Grandes, but I didn't see no Mata Ortiz. So finally I had to go to a topographical place that sells those maps, satellite maps.
Mm-hmm.
And there I got the map of Chihuahua with all the ranches, all the wells, all the little pueblitos. And then sure enough was Mata Ortiz, but it didn't show no road or anything. I said, wow, this is interesting. And I just got intrigued by the pottery that Frank had brought up. So I was married at the time, and Pablo was 10 years old. So my wife said, you know what? Let's go down there. Let's go find this town. So we went through Douglas, and through Douglas to that road, the road through Douglas to Hanos, man. I don't know if you ever went on that road. I mean, it was
What year are you talking here? You
I'm
haven't
talking
late
70s,
80s?
late 70s.
Late 70s.
Yeah, yeah. The road was just like B-52s had saturated it with holes. You didn't want to go through there at night, man, because you could pop. But anyway, we went through there. Ended up in Casa Grandes, stayed at the Hacienda, the Hotel Hacienda, and I asked people, says, which way to Mata Ortiz? And people would point to the El Indio there. And then went through Colonia Juarez, and then in Colonia Juarez, the road turned dirt. And then from there on, you know, it was boom, 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 you know, just. And in fact, I took the first time I went, took the wrong road. I start going up to the mountain, and I saw a truck coming down. And I stopped him and said, no, come back. You gotta go back. And I said, you just follow this road, and it'll take you right into it. So I came right to it, and I saw Mata Ortiz.
And you were by yourself? Or?
No, I was with my wife and,
Huh.
and my son. And I'll never forget, as we were coming down, this girl, Lidia Renteria, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Lidia, her daughter came up to me and says, you buy ollas? Yeah. So we went to her house. I got all excited, you know, and she had some pots there. And I think my first pot that I bought really was from one sister,
Rosa?
no, not Rosa,
Consolacion?
no.
Reynalda?
Reynalda. She had an effigy. Oh man, I went nuts. And I saw this, and I bought it from her. I think it was $25. And then I went to see Juan, and Juan at that time was selling them for about $250, which was a lot of money at that time.
This was on your first time in Mata Ortiz. You went to see Juan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wanted to see Juan. Then we stayed with Lidia. We became friends with Lidia, and her daughter, too, became friends with my son. And at that time, the house of where Juan lives now, it was Mr. Flores, and we weren't gonna stay overnight, but just to stay away, Mr. Flores has rooms, so we stayed at where Juan lives now. Mr. Flores had old rooms, man. It was great. It was, you know, something different. So we stayed there the first night.
That's the house where Juan has the big sign up there almost across from the train station?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But that wasn't Juan's house when you went there?
No, Mr. Flores.
Okay.
That was Mr. Flores' house. And he had rooms that he would rent out. So we stayed there. I think
Which
times.
florist? That wasn't the carpenter florist?
No.
No.
No,
No.
I don't know. Then he sold the house. Then I started going to Barrio Porvenir. Then that's where I met my comadre, Jose.
On the same trip or different?
No, other than another
Oh, okay.
trip.
Well, how often were you going when you first?
I was going in the summertime. I was going in the summer, at least once or twice in the summertime.
And what would you do with the pottery that you bought?
I would bring it back, and in fact I really went through hell with the first time because I didn't know. I went through Paloma and customs man says no, you're gonna sell these, and my problem was no, I'm not. He took my wallet, and in my wallet I had cards, and oh man, so I had to.
How much pottery did you have that first time?
Socorros.
I mean, you had a big load of
No,
pottery?
no, I didn't.
A couple of boxes full?
Just a couple of
Yeah.
boxes, but they were a man that I was going to sell like, and I guess so they made me go back, to do an informal entry. But from there on,
Do you recall how much you spent your first trip to Mata Ortiz?
probably about less than $400.
Yeah.
Because
That's what,
everything was reasonable, cheap, you know. It's only like $5, $10. My one, my comadres were like $50, $25.
and who's your comadre?
Socorro and,
Oh,
and
okay.
Jose.
Yeah.
No, he passed away in '99.
Right, yeah.
Cancer, yeah. But I started going down there and with them because he was the one that was really built to me making the best pottery. So I was buying all of my pottery from them, and I would stay with them. And I would take my sleeping bag and I'd sleep in their front porch because it was summertime. And then I would buy from other, but mostly it was just them.
Well, the first time you went with your wife and Pablo.
Yes.
Did they? Then after that, you always go with them, or you went by
No,
yourself?
then from there on, I don't know what happened. I got separated from my wife and started going on my own. And then I had a friend that started going with me, Raul Ramirez. He was divorced too, and he liked all this Mexican, so he started going with me. I think the best part was meeting Martin. Martin is Jose's brother. He had the little house down the street, and so I started staying there, and he started staying with his money. So I said, "Can I rent your house out?" He said, "Sure." So it was 2 rooms, it's a real primitive, just a kerosene lamp, wood stove, and just beds, just to sleep in, It's
Well,
great.
Martin's still alive, right?
Yeah, but he's still
Now,
alive.
he doesn't make pottery.
No.
No. You know, I only met him one time, I think, a long
Yeah,
time ago.
So I stayed there for quite a few years. Then,
And how long would you stay in the village? We talking overnight, 2 nights? or-
I would stay over the weekend. I would go like on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then come back Monday. Then I started buying more from other potters. And then I met, oh God, I can't remember his name. He had the house the house that I have now. And he says, "I want to sell you my little house." I said, "Okay, I'll buy it." So I bought that house that I stayed in for a long time. And then he finally sold me the whole lot, half of the lot, and then I was able to build my other house. So that's my,
You still have that?
yes,
right?
I still have that. So again, like I said, I just started
So you were going down only in the summertime?
yes, I mostly was going in the summertime.
And were you selling the pottery when you got back?
Yeah, I
in?
started selling the
You
pottery.
would just knock on doors and sell the galleries? or-
No. In Tucson, they had a farmer's market downtown. Right downtown. So I put my booth there and I would sell there. And then I was working at La Frontera Mental Health Center, and I was selling it to people that I was working with. But I started selling it in different fairs. Yeah, but mostly downtown. There, right in the downtown.
You didn't do wholesaling? You weren't knocking on doors? And
No, no.
Just retail to the public at these?
Yeah, yeah. And then,
Were you getting a pretty decent markup back then, or not?
oh yeah, it was kind of. Then I was telling like I had the Yaqui group that I would take to the Arts Museum in March. That was a big fair, so I was selling my Mata Ortiz pottery there. And then I went to the San Diego Museum of Man and sold there too. This was the 70s. Yeah. And at that time too, I was selling Yaqui and Tarahumara stuff beside the Mata Ortiz.
So when did you get into it full time?
Okay, full time was, then my sister has the restaurant here. She and her husband, La Casa Molina restaurant.
That's your sister. I
Mhm.
didn't know
And they had, Mr. Molina was still alive. Mr. Molina had 2 back rooms there that, and he says, he found out that he says, hey, you can use these 2 rooms. You don't have to pay rent, just bring your stuff in. But at that time also, I had separated from my wife and I was getting divorced. And I met Christina. Christina was an artist, and she had been down to Casa Grande at one time. So we got together. She moved in with me here, and I took her down there. And at that time, I was only buying medium part, and I wasn't buying the really good pottery.
Well, you were buying the Juan Casadas though for $250.
Well,
or
no, I never bought any.
Oh,
No, I never bought it. It was
Oh,
too,
okay.
too expensive. But socorro, no. But I was just buying the middle end. But then Christina was an artist. So when I took her down there, she says, no, Tito, you gotta buy Maro Quisadas, you know.
oh.
Woo! You know, just
$50, $100, what?
Yeah.
Something like that.
started buying some of Noise, you know.
Hmm.
It's really good stuff, and it would sell. I mean, we'll bring it up. Well, then we opened up the store here at Casa Molina, and she was good, and we started selling.
And it was your sister that was running the restaurant there at the
Yeah,
store?
my sister and my brother-in-law. Yeah.
And they were giving you free rent for your...
For a while until I started doing good, and then I was doing really good. That I told Mr. Willie, I'll pay you 500. You know, I started paying him $500 a month, and like I said, I was selling. But the best part,
Now, what year, do you have any idea when you started your store out there?
yeah, in the 70s. No,
So-
no, in the 80s. In the 80s, 1980.
Wow.
1980, and
Was that early?
that early.
So you've been involved in this stuff for over 30 years.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, I'm one of the early ones, yeah. Yeah, even before Jerry. Even before, what's his name, was that?
Jim Hills or no?
No, Jim Hills. Jim Hills was coming in. Yeah, Jim Hills just coming in.
Who were there any other traders? Okay, Frank Franklin, right, was going down at the
Yeah,
same
but
time?
he stopped.
He stopped.
And then there was a gal that went down there for quite a while that was from the Phoenix area. I know you probably had to know her. She had a store in,
Oh, not that Christina. In Rock Springs?
huh?
In Rock Springs? The
Yeah.
Echoes of the Past?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, she was going
Nice
down
gal.
there. I got to meet
Yeah.
her.
Well, what about Richard Humphreys? He was going down
Oh,
at
gosh,
that time
Richard
too.
No, it's all right.
Well, see, Frank Franklin is the one who took him down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Frank Franklin, I got to meet him, got to know him really well, until one day, man, I could not believe it. I'm waiting at Tucson Weekly here in Tucson, and I'm seeing his name, that he is part of the Minuteman, and
Frank Franklin or Richard
Frank
Humphreys?
Franklin.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah.
No, not Frank Franklin, Richard Humphrey.
Yeah, Richard Humphreys. Yeah.
Richard Humphrey. I couldn't believe it. I read this sucker is going down there behind the Mata Ortiz, and he's, you know, he's saying this. So I took the newspaper down to Mata Ortiz, but you see, the people in Mata Ortiz were very. I shouldn't even use the word ignorant, but they did not. They didn't read newspapers. They weren't up to date with what was going on with immigration and all that. And I took it down there and showed it to them, and they just looked at it like, You know, he's buying pots from us. We don't care really. Yeah. But the one that really got was the one that has the hotel there in Casa Grandes. Her speaks perfect English, comes from a very
Yeah.
wealthy family. Well, I knew her very well. I showed her that. Wow. Well, she caught up with him at Roberto Bañuelo's house, and she says, "You're coming down here," and Randy says, "You better not come down here anymore." And what's his name? Also, several other people, young guys that were educated, you know, they got it. It's just, you don't come down here anymore. And that was the end of.
Well, who else? Okay, so Steve Rose, Steve Rose?
Oh yeah, Steve Rose was still there. And then after Christina and I broke up, then I had another girlfriend, and she came down. She went down with me, and she went to live down there. She in Ocasio Grandes.
That's Penny?
Penny, yeah, Penny, yeah.
She's got a house down there in Pueblo Viejo, still? Or
No, oh no.
Oh,
she,
okay.
She left.
Oh.
She left a long time ago.
Hmm.
She's in Alpine, Texas. I understand.
Oh.
Who else was coming down? There was several other people. Oh, Rick Cahill. Rick Cahill was one of the first ones too.
Oh, okay.
He wrote the book.
Right.
And then there was a guy from India. He was Indian from India that went down with Rick Cahill. Oh yeah, he was big time too. He opened up a store here on 4th Avenue, and then he got Juan involved with some group. He was going to bring Juan up to Juan. They were going to build they were going to do something there in Florence. Oh, he was crazy, man. He was I can't remember his name right now, but him and Rick were buddies.
Well, let me ask you this, Tito. What were your first impressions of Mata Ortiz when you first went there? What did you think of Mata Ortiz?
Oh man, when I got down there, I always liked old Mexican towns. It just impressed me. I says, here's this little town in the middle of nowhere doing this, and then going to the museum and seeing the history of the area, the Pacame, because I like history, and that also impressed me. So I said, and then even more so, the Mexican Revolution started there with Madero, and so it was a lot of history there. But Mata Ortiz, I just was impressed by the little town that really didn't have anything, and the people there, and started this the history. Then when I got there, I says, I gotta find out how they do this. So the Tucson Museum of Art had a class on primitive pottery. So I took that class so I could find out, see what I was getting into. So we got clay, worked on it. I found out that I was not a potter, but I did find out that I was a Puxteca.
And that's a traveling salesman, or actually Posteca is in Mexico. Right? It's a Mexican trader.
That was
Yeah.
they were the Puxtecas were a very important part of the Mexican heritage of the kings and queens. They would go out and bring different things from the Mayans, from the Toscanos, from the Mixtecas, and from and up to Casa Grande. So I I have a good book if you want to read it on. It's in Spanish, on the Buchtecas.
Hey, let me ask you this while you're on this subject. What do you know about how pottery making got started in Mata Ortiz and when? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, everybody credits Juan, but I would not say it was Juan. It was the Felix. It was the Felix brother.
Felix Ortiz,
Felix Ortiz's brother.
Emiterio,
Emitario.
and Chava,
Emitario, huh?
and Salvador, Chava,
Salvador, Chava. All those started.
Rogelio, Silverio.
Rogelio, but it was mostly the one that you just said.
Emiterio or Felix.
Emiterio.
Huh.
I got to meet him. I got to know him too.
And you were
Yeah.
buying from those people, were you?
Yes, in fact I did. Felix Ortiz I did, and Emiterio I did. Mm-hmm.
Well, you say Juan gets the credit. Now, what do you mean?
Well, Juan gets the credit because Spencer found him. And Spencer went on and saw that Juan was doing really nice work. But not only that, also, but
Well, that was in 76, 1976.
76.
So you had not been there.
No,
No, you would have been late 70s or,
yeah,
yeah,
about 80. Just
1980, thereabouts,
uh-huh.
okay.
Yes, but Spencer had the contacts. Spencer had the Arizona State Museum. He started contacting other museums, and these museums found out that they were interested. So, and one had the money. I mean,
So Spencer's the one that really introduced Mata Ortiz pottery to the U.S.,
Oh,
would you
yes.
say? Yeah.
oh yeah, I would say. Now wait a minute, there was another person that went down there, Davis,
Oh, John Davis.
John Davis. In fact, I think Davis was one of the first ones before even Spencer.
Oh. Oh, the other thing, some people say that prior to their making pottery in Mata Ortiz, that the activity was pot hunting, that they were digging.
Yes, yes, they were doing that. The Felix Ortiz and Juan, they would go and find the,
They would dig up the Moctezumas.
Montezuma, and they would take it to the wealthy people in Casa Grandes, or buyers. Mm-hmm. And the buyers there, they would go to Denim and other places and sell.
Well, this is a part of the Mata Ortiz story that I think is not being told also.
It
That
is
the antecedent to pottery making in Mata Ortiz actually was pot hunting, illegal digging,
It was pot hunting.
which went on for many, many years.
Yes.
Why did they change from digging up prehistoric pots to making?
Because there was money for them. What they, on the pot hunting, on the Montezuma pot, they weren't getting that much. They were only getting maybe $3 or $4, just to live on. But once they found out that like Spencer was coming and like me, and they could make money for their own selves, that's when they started to especially the Juan Quesada's family, one made the contact with Spencer, boom, all the family started.
Well, the early pots, were the early pots signed, or were they making fakes, or what? Do you know anything about that?
Until I would say Spencer or some of the potters, or some of the other traders started.
Well, I did an interview with Nicholas Quesada before he passed away. It was just an audio interview, not video.
Mhm.
But we stopped the interview. He wanted to show me something. He brought out a little pot from those early days that he had made, but the paint was all gone. He said he had taken sandpaper himself to make it look, he faked it,
Yeah.
basically.
They
Were
would
not
do
being
that too.
signed. And I later on, Reynaldo Quesada sold me almost an identical piece. I have it in my house in Mata Ortiz, the same way. And so a lot of people are telling me that what preceded their making pottery was illegal digging. They were, digging up the Montezumas. And when they started making the potteries, they were making fakes, and selling them as.
Yeah, they did that too. Yeah. But, again.
And then at some point they decided to sign them, put their own,
Well, they started seeing dollars. Now, another interesting part was Juan, who started some, then the Japanese came in. And the Japanese told Juan, says, we're going to buy all your pots. Don't sell it to anybody else. And I remember I was going down there. And Juan said, no, we're selling to the Japanese. But then, another thing was what happened with Juan is his wife in Albuquerque was a con man, I understand.
He was the liaison between Mata Ortiz and the Japanese.
Getting his money on time. So Juan says, no more.
I recorded Walter Parks telling a story about Guillermina's, was her cousin or somebody? Yeah. I've got that on video somewhere. But I wanted to ask you, Tito, do you remember when the first kilns showed up in Mata Ortiz?
Yeah. The one that I saw was Macario Ortiz.
It was a gas kiln or electric?
Well, it was Macario, and I don't know if it was Pilo Mora.
Well, Pilo Mora was an early one. He was making gas kilns himself.
Yeah, Pilo Mora and Macario.
So that was a big deal, or what did you think about that, or?
Oh, I didn't like it. No, I didn't like it at all. And now, I think 90% now is being made.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name is making money like crazy. Luis Martinez. Is it Luis Martinez? Yeah. He's got big kilns there.
Mm-hmm. There's not that many kilns in Mata Ortiz. 90% of the pottery is kiln fired, but there's probably only 10 or 12 kilns.
Yeah.
So the people that have them are.
Yeah.
So, Tito, you've been going down there for 30 years. You've seen a lot of change. That's one of them, I guess, huh? What else?
One of the most beautiful things in changes was in their living. I mean, they were living in 2 rooms, outhouse, water outside, no electricity. Now, and everybody rode horses. Everybody rode horses almost.
So you saw a big increase in their standard of living as a result of this.
Tremendous. Like Lidia Quisada. You go to her house, look at that. You go to Mara Quisada's house. I mean, they got electricity, they got bathrooms, they got showers.
Well, something else I wanted to ask you about is that a lot of the potters now don't do their own clay work.
No.
Your old compadre Socorro
Right.
is one of the most popular
Yes.
people. This is all she does now is make.
Well, my comadre lost her eyesight.
Socorro.
She's losing her eyesight. That's why she started doing that.
Okay. Well, her clay work is exceptional. I'm told that even Juan Quesada
Oh, yeah. No, well,
buys her pots.
Well, first the ones that I found was Lidia Renteria. Lidia Renteria, was old style.
I used to buy the little black turtles that she made. She
But-
talked very loud, Lydia.
Yeah, yeah, she did. I don't think you ever met her husband, did you? Her husband?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He passed away, I
Yeah,
think.
he passed away. He had a heart attack, very young.
Oh,
Yeah. David Ortiz too was another that did a lot of nice old style, but then he moved to Casas Grandes.
Well, when you first started going down there, Tito, every potter dug their own clay. Every potter
Oh,
made their
yeah.
own paint.
Yes.
Everyone potter did their own clay work.
Uh-huh.
So how has that changed?
Tremendously. It's changed a lot. The beautiful thing right now that I see is, even though they're using kilns, the third generation potters, they're doing different style. Well, what's happened there is a lot of people started going down there. Says, well, you're doing the old stuff. Can you make me a pot with horses? Can you make me a pot with bugs or birds? And all of a sudden, they started doing birds, elephants, different pottery.
Well, it started as a revival of a local prehistoric tradition there from Paquimé, but has really gone
Yeah.
a lot of different.
Right. Uh-huh.
Well, what do you see for the future of Mata Ortiz pottery? They're having a tough time now with the economic crisis. Do you have any idea, any feel for what percentage of the pottery comes to the U.S. and what percentage is sold in Mexico?
Not that much in Mexico. And in Mexico, they're selling the low end. The government once a year comes and buys the low end.
And there's some Mexican buyers, right?
Yeah, there's some Mexican buyers.
Do you have any idea what percent would you say? Do you have a feeling for?
No, not that much.
But not very much.
No.
Maybe 10%, 15%,
Yeah.
20%, some.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then the rest comes to the U.S. Well, with the economic crisis, as you know, it's really hit them hard.
Well, with me, I was doing really good with tours. I was taking down 3 or 4 people on weekends. Great. Then all of a sudden, the newspaper comes out, State Department says, do not go to Mexico. My tour business went down the drain. I don't have anybody. People are scared to go. And you can't blame them in a way too, because you know what happened with the Treviso brothers. Now this is another good story. The Treviso brothers came in, and man, when I saw them guys speaking good English, well educated, going into Mata Ortiz, I see them buying the building there that belonged to the Ria Renteria. And then one of them marries Noe wants niece or Noe's daughter, and they started buying a lot. Did you ever go into their building in second that they went into? The building in the back?
No, I've been in the shop there, the front of the store.
No, they bought that building in the back, okay? First. Then they were gonna make a restaurant, which they did. Man, they had good steaks. That's one thing I liked about that. Upstairs, oh man, you went in there, it was thousands of dollars of Mata Ortiz pottery. I said, oh shit, cartel money, and I didn't say anything. You don't talk. I saw it, and these guys came. They found out that I had gone all the way to Connecticut to do shows. These guys had so much money that they went all the way to Connecticut to try to sell the pottery. They were going all over the place.
Was that Mystic, Connecticut?
Mystic, Connecticut.
Was a gallery there?
Uh-huh. Then I went to one in South Norwalk. And from there, other stores, they found out that I was there. So I went up to Maine, to Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. It was great. I loved it. I couldn't believe that I was doing this, you know.
You were driving a van back
I
there.
was driving a van back there with cow heads all over, man. It was great. Got to meet a lot of people. But I sold. And then whatever I had left, I sold it inside. One thing too is, I was fortunate too that when I was in Maine, I met this photographer, and you probably met him, Carl Sokolow.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Carl, I met him in Vermont. I mean in Maine. I told him, hey, look, I got a good deal for you. There's this little town in Mexico that's just starting to be history, and you can document it, and I know, and you can do something with it. And he did. He went down there, went there for about 2 or 3 years, took pictures of the people. But anyway, these Treviso brothers, okay, came in. They came to Tucson, you know, and the reason why they were building that restaurant is because that's when the tour buses were coming in. Tour buses were coming in every week. And so they would have to have a place to they were going to Debbie's at that time. It would get a train. I don't know if you were there when they had the train, and you load, and then they would take them all the way to Debbie's house on the train, and on the way they would have like bandidos stop them, and you know,
Enrique.
yeah, Enrique, yeah, and then they would eat at Debbie's. Well, they were able to take away Debbie's franchise, and so they were going to, but then all the hell break loose with the cartels, so the buses stopped going. That was the end of the restaurant, and they ended up with all these pots, you know. Well, okay. And then one day, I guess they must have gotten behind on their payments or something like that. The cartel that was after him was called La Línea. And
La Línea.
La Línea, yeah.
Nina or
La
Línea?
Línea, the line.
Línea.
Mm-hmm. They went to his house.
Was that the Juarez cartel? Or is that the Sinaloa?
Juarez. And they went to his house. He was there. Took him out. Boom. Killed it right there. That's, you know, they got the little memory thing. You see on the side of the road.
Oh.
There's a little memory.
Mhm.
But boom. Father and son, his brother, came to the United States. But a few months later, I guess the brother thought that he was safe, came down to Mata Ortiz, and he was drinking there with Bacario's son, and they found out that he was there. Went, boom, killed him. And Bacario's son got shot in the leg.
That's right, yeah.
And he, he's,
Mm-hmm.
Now the father, I don't know where he's at. I don't think he's going back to Mexico.
Hmm.
But yeah, that the cartel got in there, and I don't know if they're still in there or not. I haven't really.
Well, this economic crisis has depressed the prices. I don't know how you see it, but I saw a big run up in the prices of the pottery. It made it a lot more difficult for me to sell. And this...
You mean they went up on the prices?
Well, for us going down there to buy it, it was getting a lot more expensive. You know, a Juan Quesada pot was costing between $3,000 and $4,000. I never bought one.
No, I never did either.
But, since 2008, I sold one of his pots in 2009 for $2,400.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
I don't even think one is even selling pots. And now, the one who's really selling right now is what's his name? One who lives in Barrio Porvenir. That's a beautiful.
Diego Valles?
Diego.
Yeah.
He's the Juan Quesada now.
Yep.
But he.
So you haven't noticed the prices dropping in Mata Ortiz?
Yeah.
Because of the crisis?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I once this crisis with the drugs, if Mexico decides that, and the tour businesses start again, then the prices will go up again, and things will be better.
Well, I've only got a couple minutes left on this little flashcard. Can you think of any questions or?
These right now is in not good right now because of the drug problem, the cartels. I had a business that I was taking people on tours, 5 or 6 people every once a month, and all of a sudden when the State Department came out with, that was it, no more. That's it. Right now, it's sad, but they're still doing okay. They're still. Another thing that to me is sad thing is that they have gotten so used to the dollar, the almighty dollar. They don't even know what the peso looks like.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
that's about it.
Hey, well, I can't think of anything else to ask you, Tito, so just let
well,
me
thank you
thank
very
you
much.
so much for
Yeah, it's been a
giving me
pleasure.
this interview.
Yeah, I'm glad because it's part of the history of Mata Ortiz that you're documenting, which I think is great.